I'm Jo Kiminade and I'm talking to John Knorr, CEO and founder of SIS Business Systems. Today we're going to be talking about the features of the Uglii Spatial Marketplace system and giving a demonstration of the features of the system. So John, just give us a bit of an overview of this exciting system.
Well, Joe, this system we've been building for many years. It's a culmination of bringing together 3 or 4 different Uglii systems into one very powerful spatial marketplace. This thing is powerful for procurement for all businesses, all governments right around the world. It's also a very powerful marketing system for business to sell through the system. Okay, very easy to use. It's fast, it's accurate. We think it's going to revolutionise marketing by all businesses globally. It's very exciting. It's also very powerful from a trade point of view. The system stimulates trade because it allows any business anywhere on the planet to make offers to anywhere else on the planet. If they think they've got something to sell that will sell in another country, this is a good and powerful way of doing that. So this is a very exciting system for Uglii and for the whole world, we think, because it's going to liberate a whole lot of business activity right around the world.
Okay, well let's start with this demonstration. Uglii Spatial Marketplace is a powerful business-to-business system that allows buyers from anywhere in the world to request competitive offers from sellers anywhere in the world for the products and services they need, and enables the sellers that want to compete to supply to do so. For example, these factories are responding to requests for offers from the buyer. In the Uglii system, there are numerous parameters by which a buyer can make a request to achieve the accurate offers for the product or service wanted. For example, the marketplace engine uses the very powerful Uglii taxonomy to ensure the product or service requested and offered always match perfectly. Currently, that taxonomy lists over 700,000 products and services and continues to grow. Sellers can create a catchment using a polygon like this to define the area that they want to market their product or service into, like the red and green factories have done. This factory does not want to supply across the mountains and river, but is keen to supply south and has used a radius to define its catchment area. An offer is made by the red factory, an offer is made by the green factory, but not by the blue factory. The blue factory is keen to make offers to buyers in its preferred marketing catchment.
Joe, if I could just intervene there, the taxonomy caters for 700,000 descriptions of products and services, so it's very accurate. Both the buyer and the seller can click onto the taxonomy to a particular item that they want to buy or sell, and they can add it into their buying or selling catalogue, whichever way they're doing it. So it's a very easy process to be very specific. As well, this taxonomy is translatable, so we can have a buyer in one part of the world using one language and a seller using another language, but describing the same product in the system. So it crosses the barriers of language as a barrier to trade. So it's a very exciting process. It's easy. Okay, and the buyers and sellers can build their catalogue of the stuff they sell or the stuff they buy, and that's there in the system for them forever.
There are numerous parameters that can be set by buyer and seller to deliver more meaningful matches than has ever been possible before. We'll now give you a brief overview of the processes of the Uglii Marketplace. All businesses can access the Uglii Marketplace by logging into their control panel. From the Marketplace Management panel, you can manage all functions, including selling and purchasing catalogues, offers for products and services you market, catchments for these offers, requests for products or services you want to purchase, purchasing offer packages, settings to manage your marketplace to suit your requirements, including blocking offers from particular businesses and audit requirements. Now we'll set up a catalogue. There's a drop-down selector of selling catalogue and purchasing catalogue. You can interchange between these catalogues here and manage both from the same screen. You can add products or services manually or upload from a spreadsheet. You can find the products and or services you want to add to your catalogue by searching or browsing the taxonomy. When browsing, you select the relevant description at each level of the taxonomy, arriving at the product or service option. You can then select all that are relevant to you by ticking each box beside the relevant product or service. To add to your catalogue, click on the Add Selected Items to Catalogue. The catalogue can be ordered or filtered in any column using taxonomy description, the name you use for the product or service, a reference code you use, and the price. Any item in your catalogue can be edited. You can select an alternative taxonomy item if the currently selected one is not the most appropriate. You can edit the name you give to that item, as well as the reference you assign it, and of course the price. Items in your catalogue can be uploaded via a spreadsheet. Full instructions and the formats are provided to make this task very easy. So John, now we're going to talk about how to go about creating a request on the Spatial Marketplace system.
Joe, requests are easy to create in the system, but there are also some very powerful tools that a business can use to repeat requests, have them operate periodically, and so on. So the system's very sophisticated, but basically it's very simple.
Creating a request for an offer is easy. The buyer selects the product he wants from the taxonomy, specifies the quantity required, selects the payment processes, and the job is done. Now, John, the system has additional powerful tools if the buyer wants to define his needs somewhat.
Yes, Joe. The buyer can do a number of things. For example, they can set times to release their request. So they may have a request that they want to prepare today and release in 2 days' time.
Sure.
Or they may want to make a request periodically. Say every Monday they may want to make a request to buy fuel, and so on. So there's lots of tools in the system that allow the buyer to do more sophisticated things than simply make a request. So they can manage their requests through the system.
So what happens when a buyer receives an offer in response to a request?
Well, Joe, they can be alerted by email, or they can simply periodically go and log into the system and have a look to see who's responded to their request. Joe, when a buyer makes a request, that item is put into their catalogue, so they can easily go back to their catalogue to make that same request again.
There are several options available in framing the timing related to a request. Buyers can set a start date and an end date for the request. There is an option to receive all offers in response to requests only on the expiry date the buyer has set for the request. This option can be used where the procurement rules require it.
Joe, that concept of having an expiry date where all of the offers are made on that expiry date is very important for procurement by governments and corporations, because it means that it's impossible for somebody to interfere in the marketplace processes. So the system acts very much in the same way as the tender processes, the classic tender processes work, so that nobody is getting an advantage by having pre-information about an offer. So it all arrives at the same instant. No ability to corrupt that process.
Buyers can also set the required delivery date that informs the supplier when he requires the product or service. For some types of products and services, this will be a matching criteria. A buyer can create a recurring request that will repeat in the timing sequence that he sets. In this example, the business has set up a request that will be repeated every week. Starting on a Monday, to commence on the first Monday from now, the request will be live for 3 days until midnight, Wednesday, and the date required for the product is shown as Friday of the week of the request. From the buyer's table of requests, he can see the number of offers received for each request. By selecting View Offers from the action menu for a request, he will be presented with a summary table of offers in response to that request. He can sort the offers by price or find a particular offer by using a filter for any of the columns in the table. From this page, he can access the website of the business if it has been provided, find the contact details, location, and the credentials of the business making the offer. An offer sender can be blocked if the buyer does not want to receive any further offers from a business or from a country. So John, we've talked about creating a request, and now we're going to talk about creating an offer.
Joe, creating an offer is the exciting part of the whole system because it brings in all of those exciting processes of spatial. It's a selling process. So that, from my point of view, that's really the exciting part. Okay.
In creating an offer, some of the information you provide is presented to the buyer, including title of offer. This will be shown in the list of offers a buyer receives in response to his request. Marketing message. This is shown to the buyer when he reviews all the offers received. Website link. Use the URL for the most relevant web page to support the seller's offer. An offer is linked to a place of business, and this is shown to the buyer. The seller can select a product or service from his selling catalogue for this offer. If the item is not yet in the catalogue, the seller can select from the taxonomy, and that item will now also show in the catalogue. Now, John, if the request is for a number of items, how does the system deal with that?
Well, Joe, when a business is making an offer, they can generally make them for ranges. So if I'm a concrete batching plant, I might have a price for concrete from 1 to 5 cubic metres of concrete, and another range for above that. So the seller can set a number of offers, each accommodating a range of prices effectively. So that if the request comes for 10 cubic metres of concrete, and it is automatically matched with an offer that goes from 5 cubic metres to infinity, okay, or 5 to 100 cubic metres.
Now, John, there are management processes here to manage how sellers respond to requests for offers.
Yeah, Joe, the system's quite sophisticated. It allows sellers to make offers automatically. So any time a request comes in, an offer goes out, which is an instantaneous process. It also allows the business to pause that process. So if they want to think about a request, in other words, if I'm a builder, I don't want an automatic response to go out. I may want to think about whether I've got the resources to do something, a project, whether I really want to respond to this project or not. Okay,
Right.
so that's what we call a considered offer. Okay, and the system even allows me to set rates of offers, so that if I've set a budget for my business and I want to spend $100 a day on making offers, then the system will limit my expenditure to $100 a day. Okay, if on the other hand I want to set a rate for offers, in other words, I want to do one an hour, so regardless of the number of requests that come in that may be relevant to me, I only want to send one per hour. I can do that. I can set those parameters. So the system is very much accommodating the marketing needs of every business. Every business can set those parameters. Very easy, and yeah, it's easy. I can do it. A business can also put in a start and end date to the offer. So it can be automated, and it can go out over that period and then stop, because that's the time that I want to make offers for.
So why does a business need to define its catchment?
Well, Joe, most businesses have catchments for where they want to sell. So if I'm a pizza shop, okay, or a concrete batching plant, I've got a fairly limited catchment into which I can market. So my online marketing efforts shouldn't be beyond the area that I can effectively sell into. So in the case of the pizza shop, it might be the area I can deliver my pizzas to. In the case of the business that's a concrete batching plant, it's the distance from the concrete batching plant that I can carry concrete in a concrete truck before it starts to go off and be a problem to me. So the definitions of catchments are different for every business.
So it could be the world,
It
or
could be the world.
be
Yeah,
a 10
absolutely.
kilometre
Yeah.
radius of your place of business.
A business could have any sorts of different catchments. It could have a whole of a country or the whole of the world, or it might have multiple catchments. So if I'm a supplier that wants to sell into cities around the world, then I can draw multiple catchments in the system, and the system will respond to requests for offers that come out of those multiple catchments. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is the ability of a business to design the catchment that it wants to do its marketing into. Now, there are a couple of processes that we use in this. One is a business can say, look, I want to do it within 20 Ks. I want to deliver concrete within 20 Ks. But in urban situations, or in situations where there are obstacles to doing business, such as mountain ranges and sea and a few things like that, or traffic, yeah, I might want to design a more elaborate catchment for my business, and with the Uglii system I can do just that. So what we're going to look at now is my ability to design an elaborate catchment, okay, what we call a polygon, so it exactly fits the area that I want to market into, and I'm not marketing beyond that. Okay?
A catchment can be an area defined by a polygon or a radius from a location. A polygon can be drawn on the map to define a catchment. The polygon can be moved to any place on the map by dragging the pin in the centre of the polygon. The seller can drag the corner point to the location that he wants to market into. He can then move a corner as many times as he needs to define his catchment. Each time he moves a corner, another corner point will appear in the middle of the new side of the polygon, giving infinite flexibility for his polygon.
This is flexible. It's fun to use. It's easy to use. I think most businesses will enjoy building a polygon if that's what they want. Of course, if they want to simply use a radius to define a catchment, in other words, create a circle around their business, that's very easy. But the situation also arises where a business may want to have different catchments for different distances from their business. If the cost of transport is an important element of their offer, then they can define a number of different catchments that are rings around their place of business.
Sure.
Okay, so the further the buyer is away from that business, then the higher the price that's going to be offered, of course. So the system also has that facility so that a business can easily set that up by defining two catchments and taking one from the other. Very easy process, but it's also very powerful.
So John, how does this work with franchises?
Joe, in the case of franchises, of course, they may have elaborate territories marked out, and the system caters for them perfectly because a business can define their exact polygon to match their franchise exactly with these processes. So there's no overlap, there's no territory missing, it's absolutely perfectly correct. Okay, and then the business can make offers in response to requests that come from inside that polygon.
John, I can see a lot of people having a fair bit of fun creating those polygons.
Looks like fun, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the polygon fun, John, the Uglii Spatial Marketplace system is really a very powerful tool.
Sure, Joe. It certainly is. It empowers every business in the global economy to market very efficiently. And it also allows every business in the whole global economy to make sure that it gets the best possible deals on the things that it needs to buy for its business. Same with governments. Governments can use this system to make sure that they get the best offers for the things that they need to buy, which means that they're going to save money and that's going to help them balance their budgets.
Okay.
Very important stuff.
Thanks very much, John.
So.